Greetings, awesome beings. How are we all? Thank you for joining us back for another live autodidactic, what have I called it? Conversations, chats, autodidactic chats, something like that, making noise with your mouth. And we've got Paul from What the Fuck TV with us tonight. Welcome, Paul. How are you going?
Welcome. And I didn't know we was going live. So even better. Hope everyone's okay. Hopefully you're okay, and everyone in the chat, hopefully we're all enjoying life.
We are. I think we are. We've got 36, so we'll wait till some more people come on board. Yeah, so if you haven't seen Paul's channel, definitely go check it out. You'll find the link below in the description. Heaps of good stuff over there, and he's a fellow etymology hunter, I guess, into the spells and the words. Probably done a lot more work than I have on that case as well. I've seen you have actually got like a little series going, haven't you? Like spellology, is that right?
Yeah, I just obviously when I do a spell etymology video, it's obviously my opinion. I state that in, when I do it, because languages can be a funny thing. You can even go back to it. Do we actually talk with our mouths before X amount of end? So I just wanted to do a series because people do look into etymology, and people take like what's accepted as, what is said in etymology. So I always think sometimes if we break the word down into 2 or into 3, sometimes people pronounce it, what interesting things could I find hidden in the hidden? And that's what I come up with a word. Obviously, everyone knows that words are spells. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to make up a new series and call it Spell Etymology. And that is just looking at the spells, the words, and see if anything interesting I can find. See, he's breaking down already. And that's what it is. And it's crazy how I pick the words. I let the words like come to me because of, obviously you can spend too much time, overlooking, overthinking at specific words. And it's what we call, like the banal or words that you wouldn't think, why is he looking at that? When you put, because you can't make a word sound, whoa, so interesting in the description. For instance, like balance, the last one I did. You can't make, that sound exciting. It's not. But when you look into a word and you split it up and you find interesting things in it, that's what I enjoy most about doing that series. You know what I mean? And again, it's just my opinion, and obviously people do enjoy it. But, like anything in life, you have your critiques.
Yeah, I haven't watched that video, but I saw it there and I was thinking, balance, what's he found there? And I thought, Vowel, right?
That's lands. The easy one straight away.
So what did you find when you're looking? Yeah,
balance,
what else did you find with balance?
That's what, as soon as you see it, normal, not normal, but, as soon as the people, the so-called truthers, us, the community, we think balance, Baal straight away. And Lance, it basically meant Baal the giant, because ants, A-N-C-E, came to Ent. Ent is another name, an old medieval word for giant, like ant. So obviously you can see the significance of a little ant, and obviously an ant, like Little John in, Robin Hood. He's not actually little, but, Ent. So Ent was giant, so Baal the giant. But there's also another way I looked at, to one of the most famous images of Osberg, and I know you've looked into different things, and it's like a black lance. It looks like a black lance in the sky. It's a celestial event, and when I was looking tonight, also Baal and the demon is associated with black, and we're talking about Baal and then lance. So there's other ways you could look at it. So Baal, the lance, balance. So a lance is what a knight uses, and you've got a picture of a black lance in the sky floating. What is Baal? I know he's tied to Janus and that, but Baal is primarily a sky god. So you have an image of a black lance in the sky. Could that in reference be to him? So these are just things I threw out on it in the short video, and it's just intriguing what we can, what we can find.
the reset god, right? The plasma apocalypse god with his lance, right?
Yeah. It's just how you look at things is different. You know what I mean? It's just weird balance, and then it turns into something really intriguing or that way. You know what I mean? So it just, yeah.
Yeah, and ent. I mean, how many words is ent on the end of?
Exactly.
You know, everything, right? Ent, parliament, or everything.
Yeah.
I was thinking about awake. Have you looked into that? Like awake, everyone's awake these days, right? But what is a wake?
Yep. And I've not done a specific video, but straight away you can see about awake at a funeral and everything like good morning and things like that. So there's loads. I mean, it's so funny that when you do these videos and people message in, look at this, and what about this? It's like you can't make a video that long. Do you know what I mean? You're specifically looking at the one word or a couple of words that you find, and they generally put in what they say it is, and then what I've found. You know what I mean? It's just intriguing because when, like I said, you've got the Grand Canyon behind you. The Native Americans there talk about the ant people. So as soon as you talk about the ant people,
yes, they do.
Natives, you're thinking of ants, but now giants. So you have the giant people.
Giant.
You know what I mean? So that makes me think.
The mounds with the giants in them.
Yeah. And that's
the mounds with all the buried giants, and the people that took them underground. So it's.
And
we know that they love
where it is, Cambell.
Flip things.
I've got an image, a hieroglyph of. Someone sent it to me, so it's not actually my find, but it is an ancient Egyptian hieroglyph. I don't know where it is, and it's got people on the boat, and they've actually got antlers. And I've never been, you know what I mean? I'll have to see where they got it from. And that's just intriguing, obviously, because obviously they talk of the Egyptians being there and ants, and these Egyptian hieroglyphs have antlers. Just,
one
of those things.
I think I've seen a few cave paintings like that as well. Yeah. Diane, who have we got in the chat here? 007, I hear it's your birthday. Happy birthday to you. And if I was a performer like you are, I would sing you a song, but I'm not. So there you go. Andrea, Jane, CJDV, enjoy now. Hippie shake. Hello. Thanks for being here again. As always, Pushing Castle, hello, on a plane. I saw most of these people. Paul Cook just did a live. Kathy Ann Jones, Organic Intelligence. Colleen, welcome all. And if you do have any questions for Paul, put them in all caps so that we see them. If you do actually at Paul, it might come up. I was going to ask you about, this is something, I was listening to something this morning, and I don't know who it was, but the great vowel change, is that change, shift, change?
Yeah. Whatever you want to call it, yeah.
Back in the, and of course the word vowel, we can have a talk about that, but when was this, back in the 1400s when they actually removed vowels
or added vowels? You can look at it a different way. Obviously people talk about how you got suffixes and prefixes and all that shenanigans, but if you actually just look, like I said, I know it might be even over a year since I came on your channel to talk about this originally, didn't we? And a lot's changed since then. But yeah, you think about it, a period in time, and it's called the vowel shift. And then you split that down. And you've got the vowel or vow to L. And L, obviously, people are like argue on what L means: deity, God, Elohim. You know what I mean? So we say a few things, and people automatically, jump to conclusion. But we've got a period where they actually state we've changed the vowel to a god, like an IOU, EI-OU, and sometimes Y, and all this. And the Egyptians used to have 10 vowels, and other countries in time had more, and so it can get really sticky. And I'm no language expert, I'm no English expert, nothing like that. I'm just looking at things with a different perspective and my own opinion, and this is just what I think will hang about. There's a period in time from the 13th, 14th century, everything changed in this realm. And people are talking about, like I said, resets, and everything changed. The science that we still use today, the realm that we actually live in, you name it, the printing press, everything was brought in this period of like 500-600 years. How wow is that? Whether you believe I'm right or wrong, it should just make you think, you know what? They've changed the vowels to a different god. Wow. Do you know what I mean?
The vowels, yeah. And
the calendars, people talk about the calendar changes, all this in this period.
Everything, yeah. And so they changed the spells that we're casting, literally, right? The spelling.
Yeah, the spell casting.
And also we know everything's frequency, you know. So they've taken certain frequencies out of our language, out of our vocabulary. You know,
well,
so it's interesting because, I mean, have you heard those people in Africa who talk by clicking?
Yeah.
I want, and also with Arabic and that, they have like the sort of throat sort of sounds. So there's all these different sounds still around, but I don't know. So do you know what the vowels were? Can you say them? Are they possible to say now?
Obviously, yeah, they're the same as what we've got now. A, E, I, O, U, sometimes Y, sometimes W is in it as well. And there's some missing. Now, if you type into the search engine, A, E, I, O, U, God, you will get that's the actual name of God. Wait. So you say the vowels are the name of God. Yeah, you type it in. You know what I mean? I've got, and it's a book of, and they've even got like in Gnostic, it's the Bible, it's the book of A, E, I, O, U. I've got it on my screen here. You know what I mean? So it is just an intriguing thing where they're talking about it. Yeah, if you
want to share screen,
want me to share it, just quickly show you.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, guess a lot.
Like I'm just looking at it.
So, and I was just thinking, we kind of have 10 vowels anyway, don't we? Like we have vowels, and then we have like the primary school vowels, right?
Yeah.
The A, E, I, O, U, and then when you're grown up, it's A, E, I, O, U. But they're both. That's actually 10 vowels, isn't it?
And the Egyptians, like I was saying before, the priests basically were talking about how they could only sing this song to air god, or the air god. And so you can look here, Gnostic Society Library, the first book of IEOU, and this will go through everything. It's just intriguing, you know what I mean? Chapter 2, the Apostle, So you're talking, if you want to look at this, you just type in gnosis.org library, and then obviously the first book of IEOU. So you can see it goes down. Yeah. Goes down, talks about, you see some symbols. That's intriguing to a lot of people. And, this is my little secret little thing that I look at from now and again. And I keep meaning to do another video on it. Like I said, I can't really read it out because you'd be here for hours and hours and hours. See, IEOU and the circles. Something coming soon on this will actually physically blow your mind. I've just got to do this little, not boring, but little short video I've been working on in a minute. Just felt. What's that? Go on, Cambell.
That was the Trivial Pursuit. Go up.
Yeah, like the wedges. Yeah,
there it is. Yeah.
I talk about that in one of my videos, like how the Trivial Pursuit looks like the wheel and kind of knowledge, and it's just intriguing. So this is obviously Gnostic.
Yeah, okay, the wheel of knowledge.
Yeah, you know what I mean, and gnosis, and as you can see, it goes on forever. You know what I mean? You would literally could do shows and shows and reading it out, but like I said, if you want to actually just look at it and people intrigued, just gnosis.org, and or you could just type in the book of. Let me get to the top. The first book of IEOU. So then most of the, what's it called? The vowels. So I'll just stop sharing because everything else you'll see on the top of the screen is what I'm working on a minute. I don't know what to say. So that is just what I'm so it's just intriguing. And in the book of in Gnosticism, they talk about how you need to know every word in this realm to get through a gate in the gates of heaven. There's so many gates of heaven. They have an archon in charge. He has a secret name. If you don't know his name or his sigil, you get reincarnated back to this realm. So think about it. You're an evil villain. You're a cabal. You want to control this realm. If you change how we speak, or if we did speak, or bring in the language or change it, you're stopping people learning all the words of this realm. So it's,
yeah, exactly.
It's a mind-blowing thought.
Stopping people raise up in frequency.
Yeah, change the frequency.
I mean, and the whole changing the vowel, the vowel to L, like literally changing, you know, what you're saying to that dude at the door, right, to get out.
Yep.
The vowel to the Elohim, or however you want to interpret that. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, you know, because we know, you know, about chanting and throat singing and all, and the music and frequency and the organs and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I wonder if that's what we're missing. Maybe we need to make every frequency, if you know what I mean, which would be the speaking, like make every sound, which is exactly what we're sort of talking about. But so maybe we should be out there yelling and running around rather than sitting on cushions meditating. What do you reckon?
Yeah, well, if you think about it, why is, for instance, if you went to school now, I bet you they're teaching the same things now than there was when you was going to school. And, you know, basically, yeah, the indoctrinated system is a set upon spells reinforcing the agenda, because you're learning the same old shit. And obviously we know history is, you know, a person's perspective. And if they're telling you that perspective and you don't know anything different, you're not learning anything. So obviously when we learn something new, they call it the light bulb moment or that aha moment. And you're enforcing your own personal bubble to see how you see this realm. So it changes everything how you see. And that's why the Freemasons say, look to the east, to the sun. The sun is knowledge. Sun is light. The more information you learn, the more light you shine on the world, revealing what is hidden. So if they stop that, they're on a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, and that's definitely what's been done, right? Like they've taken away the knowledge, the history, burnt all the books. Now they're doing the online book burning, shall we call it, with all the censorship that's going on. I mean, they're hitting overdrive now, but this is, I mean, as far as us being, you know, lost, like not knowing, you know, the past and where we are and all this kind of stuff. The spelling, and this is what I've been going on about for ages. You know, it's the first thing they teach you at school, right after they tell you that your imaginary friends don't exist, and that's it, because that shows you the world. That then creates your picture of the world, right? Because if you don't have a word to describe something, I mean, can it even exist? You know, it's like that story of the ships in South America with the Indians when they first saw the ships coming, and they'd never seen a ship before. So apparently it took them like a few days to actually see them. They just sort of saw these shadows or whatever in the water because they had no reference point. You know, so that's the thing. We create the world with our thoughts, and we think with language, which is spells.
And that's what we've got to watch, because if this realm is able to manifest into reality, I mean, did we able to manifest it more? Because obviously a power of our thoughts and mind were a lot more honed in than obviously changing the language. And you look at Anglish, which is English, and that talks about breaking it down, meaning like an incubus or a succubus or a nightmare. So if they're teaching us all the nightmare language, and we all need to know the spells through our Ouija boards, our curses, we're moving curses about. We know, for instance, if someone told you, do you know what I mean? Basically, they need us to know and able to read.
Good one.
Yeah, I mean, we've got
moving a curse while looking at the black scrying screen.
Yeah, and people forget it's not just a scrying mirror in front of us. We've also got it in our eyes, our iris. I talked about that in a video not long ago. That's why they're black. Now think about it now. We judge with our eyes, like I was talking in the video. So we judge with our eyes. Don't judge a book by its cover. And you're in court. The judge wears black. and he also wears wool hat. Now people talk about sheep people, wolves in, wolf in sheep clothing. But think about it: when you're trying to tell someone a lie or get over them, you are pulling the wool over the sheep's eyes. So you're pulling the wool over your scry mirrors, unable to see. So think about it: if you've got individual scry mirrors all oscillating at a frequency, and more knowledge you learn, you're able to see more. People talk about the black sun as a spiritual or physical thing. I believe it's the eyes, because it does look like it. It doesn't mean because it looks like it, by it is. But think about it. That's why we see this realm so differently, because we're using our scry mirrors, and when we get upset, we cry. That's basically where the etymology of scrying comes from. It comes from discernment, able to judge for ourselves what we actually see. So that's a big word in the community. Use your discernment. Well, all our judges are uniquely different to us. They're unique. That's why all the people in the chat will look at something differently, and they will judge it with their scrying mirrors.
With their own scrying mirrors. And I mean, and there's a lot of that going on as well. We just had a bit of a chat in Paul's love, and we won't get into it, but there's lots of people turning on each other, shall we say, and calling each other names and all this stuff. But in the end, it's just different points of view, and the truth is they see the world differently. No one sees the world the same as us, because no one's had the same experiences. No one's got the same filters. It's literally, you can get people to describe a situation, people that were all there, and they'll all give you a different story, because, and it's the same, right? Because it was seen through different eyes, seen through different lenses, exactly. All this kind of stuff.
Think about it. If I tried to change you, Cambell, if I tried to change you right now, your mind, your essence, your soul, your spirit, there's something that gives you your spark. You would fight it. You might accept it and talk about it, peer pressure and everything, because people are jumping on the chat, but you'd be fighting it. And that's what's happening in the community. People want you to see I call it the community, because it's a con. And I like having a go at people in the chat, but as a whole, it's a con. You look at the word etymology of com, it means con, C-O-N. Look, it's a con. They're using the truth as a weapon. It's been weaponized, and people will argue the fact with me. And again, this is just my opinion, and it's not having a go at anyone, but think about it. Weaponize the truth. When you think you're on a cause, your scales, what you think right and wrong, slightly change, and you attack people because, I'm doing this for the truth. It's the truth. Well, it's not. The truth is personal. We see it differently. Have a look how truth is spelled. What's in the middle? You. But also, as I've always said, it contains R-U-T, a rut. It means a trap. You get trapped in the truth. You get trapped in how you look at specific truth. So people will argue, no. The truth is perspective. And that's why it always changes if you have an open mind, because the more you learn, it reveals something hidden. And then it raises more questions. And in the community, people want you only to look at what they believe in, and not this. Or if you have a different opinion, you're a shill, you're a gatekeeper. And we're just people who have a collective mind, and that's all it is. We should allow each other to have a different opinion.
Well, imagine if we all had the same opinion. It'd be pretty bloody boring, wouldn't it? What would we do? That's called grey death, It's like, so I mean, and opinions just, they should be sparking conversation, not bloody hate fests and all this kind of stuff that's going on. So, but enough about that. So this is with language, right? There's something going on with language. So, I've been into language probably like you, my whole life. It's just, I've just noticed things that just that are just weird, right? And one of the things is that no matter, well, I mean, I only speak English, obviously, but with English, it's obviously a fairly newish language, especially the English we speak. It's been, heavily messed with. We've got all these words from different languages in there. But even after all that, you can still find words, just like you did, with, what was it, the truth? that you can break up and use in the middle, and ruts in there, and you can still find all this meaning in the word that, I mean, how far does that spelling of that word go back, right? So what do you think that is? Like, do you see that as, what do you think? Yeah. Have you noticed that? Like, have you sort of thought that before?
Like I said in the video, if you look at etymology sites and you can go to anyone, you type in a word, I can guarantee 99 out of 100, all etymology starts at the 12th, 13th century when this period started. All of it does. You get some in the late 16s, 17s, blah, blah, blah. But 9 out of 10, all the etymology is in this period. Did we just start using etymology words and begin? No, we've had words, we've had different dialects, but this agenda of this type of language was brought in this period. And that's what's intriguing me. It doesn't whether I've got it all wrong and I'm misspelling, which I can because I'm dyslexic and it's hard me to see the words anyway. So I'm just trying my best. You know what I mean? And people seem to want to fight. For instance, if you put the instead of the, and it's like grammar Nazi. It's a case of you're fighting their game for them. Do you know what I mean? It's all a spell. You're all at Hogwarts, and they've changed this reality to work off these spells. They've taught you, me, everyone in the chat, how to understand, if we can, by our dictionary in our head. So if they sending us curses through this and changing it, we're able to manifest it on this side because we both have a basic knowledge of English. That's why they've tried and push that as the main language, for countries. And it's just intriguing. Why does etymology start from that period? Because it falls into this great vowel shift period.
Which is very interesting because it makes me think of the Tower of Babel.
Yep.
Like,
and Babel is
a
word like a baby mate. Well.
Yeah, and that's where the languages were confounded, right? Where it says everyone spoke the same language, and then the gods confounded so no one could understand each other. And that sounds pretty much exactly what you've just described happened in the sort of, what was it, 1200s?
Yeah, started at 12 and finished roughly about 19th century. Did we speak with our mind? Well, did we, you know what I mean? Think about it, because I've done so many videos. The vocal cords, if you split it up, vocal means the voice of God. So did we only use this for moving huge blocks, fighting, weaponized swords? Because it's the power of God. It's a triangle. You know what I mean? So there's one triangle. You have another triangle in the other sacred region down below. So your vocal cords, as twin folds of 3, that is 33. Where is that where they got it from? Yeah. So we have all these powers in our voice. And if you have a big platform, like people in the chat are susceptible to us speaking, can we get them to become followers and indoctrinate them to our beliefs? That's why you have big channels, doom and gloom type of stuff, saying the world going to end on this day and this day. And people are actually getting stressed. And the now where we live in, the life's no good because they're so scared of the ifs and the buts. You know what I mean? We should live for the now and still able to do what we want. Well,
And they're just all spells. Like yeah, exactly. And unless it's happened, it's just a thought. And if someone gave it to you, it's a spell.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned,
and just look at the word. Like, for instance, one of my last words I did in my series called The Realm of the 11, because I've been looking at that a lot. Genius. The word genius.
Just started
etymology wise. Yeah, means demon. Demon. Genius. And then demon, and then it carry on. It means man. The mark of the beast, 666. Almost 666. It's not the devil, it's carbon and all that. And then well, no, because now we think about it, we can be a beast. So now we are a demon. Do you know what I mean? Think about it. You are a friend. You are a friend. Take an R out, it becomes a fiend. A fiend is another name for a demon. So straight away
Yeah.
from the spells and etymology, why are they promoting education as they are? Because they're trying to create demons, susceptible to demons.
Demons. Yeah,
See
well,
the word
doesn't
genius.
human mean monster? Is that right? Does human
If I remember,
mean
yeah,
monster?
it's a long time since I've looked into like human, you know what I mean?
I think human is monster. And so, I mean, and obviously, you know, most people are sort of onto, you know, what the bigger picture of what's going on, you know, in this realm is. But that would be, I mean, the ultimate way to take over, right? You change that, you know, that if you look at it, you know, if we've been, you know, invaded and they're basically trying to turn us into them, or at least into their minions, that's what you would do, right? You would make them turn themselves into it. I've said before, like the best way to win a war is, and this is what we saw in the last 2 years, right? The best way to win a war is to make the enemy just kill themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
And this is kind of what they're doing, but they're changing the spells, and this is something, you know, obviously the whole, you know, they even call it, right, death metal and all this kind of stuff, and the rap music that they promote, and the pop music even, it's all deep, dark, you know, it's all low vibration, like red chakra kind of stuff. It's either sex or violence, pretty much. You know, when we used to have all these different sounds, and we used to have orchestras in bands, right? You know, a band would be like 20 people. Then it was, you know, 6 to 4. Now it's like one person and a bloody drum machine and some dancers. It's like, so it's all frequency that they're messing with. So, and of course the whole 432 to 440. But I agree, they're literally trying to turn this place into their place, right? Into hell, and for us to be their minions.
Yeah, exactly. The acolytes, which, you know, is another name for pupil. Pupil, what do people do? It's school.
Pupil.
So it's all right there.
And have you looked into educate?
I've not looked at I've looked at education, which means to force or to rise up.
Yeah, and Edu means goat.
It's so funny when you're talking and then you look at the comments.
Kate was to follow or to go down the path of, and so educate literally meant to go down the path of the goat. So you put a pupil in a classroom, right? A classroom.
Yeah.
Right.
And what's funny though, Campbell, is you put the ION on the end, ion. Ion's another name for obviously that god I research, and obviously then that turns into to raise up. Yeah. So you can just see.
Okay, so that's Janus as well. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it goes by many names.
Because I was thinking of like an ion. When you break down an atom, the smallest thing they say that you can find is the ion, which actually isn't a thing. It's just energy.
Energy. And that's the intriguing thing, because obviously you have the god called Ion, I know, linked to time and different things like this. And another name for Janus as well is Ion. And if you put that on the end of Christ, you get Christian. Christ.
Oh, gosh.
Christ Ion, Christ God, Christ Janus. So it's just intriguing, and this is why I do it.
And Christ means light. So it means the light of Janus. God. And all three spells, pre-changing the words. And people will go to war in principle each other over these words.
What's he in principle, Campbell? He is the janitor. What do janitors hold?
Yeah. I remember that. I remember that video that was really good, where you were talking about it. It was the janitor walking around with the keys to everything. Keys. Yeah.
Frequency keys. All the keys. That's why they worship him. If this is a realm of frequency and energy and vibration, and everything is attached to a frequency, they would need a god of frequencies. He's a guy who's in charge of it. Let's worship him. I'm not saying he's evil or bad. I'm just saying if you can influence and get a foothold into it, that would be why this god gets reverence. Not my words, their words. you know what I mean? So it's very
Yeah.
intriguing when you start looking at things that are completely different, just your own perspective on different things, and it's just wow. Because basically, you look at the word. What did we mention at the word beginning? Giant. Giant. So if you put T
Giant,
on something, that is
yeah.
the past tense. So it's Gian and a T. Gian is another name for Janus. In Italian, it means John. So even the word giant is named after Janus, who was
After
a giant.
Janus. I mean, God, bloody Janus. Janus is everywhere. And
Yeah.
if you don't know about Janus or Janus, go check out Paul's channel again, link below. The god of everything,
Like
and to the point where there's even two Janus Islands, one at the north and one at the south, right?
Yep.
The gateways, and he's the god of gates and keys.
Yep.
It's just what.
And I don't know why people don't look into the fact. You don't have to believe it. You know what I mean? It's just obviously it's an opinion. But if I know, and you've done videos on it, and I know people are really intrigued about ice walls, Ionos Joans. Yeah, that's another name for Dagon, which goes by Janos, the fish. Obviously tied to knowledge. But think about it.
Still wears the fish hat.
The mitre. 2 islands, 2 gateways. If there is more land, you would need 2 places or more to get to these places. It just, that is the cream on the top. You know, you'll show these maps and talk about the theories. How would we get there? Well, doorways, portals, people will say. If only we had 2 places on this realm called Janos, the god of doorways and portals. Bang, straight away. Antarctica, Greenland.
I mean,
look at the flags. They are duality, both of them.
Yeah, right. Okay, they're flipped over, are they?
Yeah, one of them you'll get a circle, and one of them is a triangle, like the Earth symbol. You know, so and they're both reversible. So you'll see they're all split in half. So it's like a diamond for Antarctica's new flag. It's blue and white, if you remember, and Greenland is red and white. And if I remember, they both fit into the symbol for as above, so below, that the Gnostics use with the Janos, the not the anal region, the coccyx. You know what I mean?
What region?
The coccyx.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was actually
it looks like before. You know the Hermageister image of above, so below. You can actually see it's. People think, well, what's he got in his head? It's actually the coccyx. To show you it's above, so below. So if you can see the flag somewhere, it's 2 triangles now. It just got past. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4th one in at the top, the new flag. So if you go to your top, look on the top row, it's the 4th one in. You'll see it's like a triangle.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, that one. That's the new flag that was just brought in for Antarctica. So you got the duality again, like 2 faces. And then your Greenland flag is circles, but the same principle, duality.
Oh, right. Yeah, right. It's also very similar to Japan, isn't it?
Yeah, like a sun symbol.
But I mean, it's exactly the same, right? And red and blue, right?
Yeah.
It just don't matter. That's like the red blue plasma shift, the red, everything is red blue, right? All the walls are red blue. All the flags are red blue.
Yep.
Oh, Bernie's awake. How you going, Bernie? He's awake. He was dying before, but sounds like he's waking up in bed.
Like people are saying
so
gatekeepers. That's what they call people in the community, gatekeepers, doing the work for Janos.
Gatekeepers. The work for Janos, exactly. And I was just thinking, I mean, because it was interesting that you made the point that they choose to worship this god, and of course, one point is when we look at these tales that they tell us, the myths and legends from the past, there's always multiple gods, right? And of course, now we're being taught monotheism. So that's an interesting thought. Are there different gods and that you can pray to and get favor in, which we've been told, all the old books say you can? And if you could, what better way if you wanted to get out of the realm than to name 2 islands, right, in honor of the god who's the cake. I mean, it's just,
you can't make it up,
sense,
can you?
doesn't it?
Yeah. And it's like so in
You
your
can't
face.
make it
And
up, indeed.
you know how long I've been screaming. We're still seeing the tail end of the pandemic. You can't even say it. And that was the ritual to him, from face mask being double-faced to the initial treatment to the actual original name to, everything is tied to him. Testing the blood and samples on a machine named after him. It's just like, wow. And who was the chief, the number one go-to guy in all
What was
this?
that
His
about
name
the
is
blood
Bill
machine?
Gates. Yeah, if you type it, there's actually a
Bill
machine for
Gates,
testing your blood, and it's called the Janus. It's called the Janus. So you're actually testing people's samples on the machine named after him.
It's literally called the Janus.
Yeah, I'll show you a quick. I'll get the name up, and you can type it in to show people. But yeah, their chief go-to guy is called Bill Gates. It's actually named after Janus.
Well, I mean, yeah, I used to just sort of think, Bill Gates, he'll charge you on the way out, right?
Yeah, it's called the Janus G3
but yeah, I mean,
workstation.
when you bring in Gatekeeper, Janus G3
workstation, and that's the machine to testing your samples. It's just mind-blowing. You know what I mean? So it's just intriguing. I did have a meme. It's in my videos, but you can see them. There's a so you can see the Janus G3 workstation.
Oh, and they're using it for this.
That's what they test samples. So when you send in when people send in the swabs, whatever they do with it, because obviously I've never done one. They worked on this machine.
It goes into
so it's like any name, pick any name for a machine. Let's call it Janus.
Yeah.
But Paul's going crazy. Paul's seeing things again that he shouldn't be seeing.
Paul,
you know what I mean?
Paul's going crazy.
No, I'm just saying that's what people say. You know what I mean? In the community, not anyone in the chat.
Mods, can you get on that bot, please? We've got a couple of unwanted guests.
Yeah, they want to find love with the AI.
I just gave you a wrench. Well, yeah, right. Janus heard us talking and thought she'd send us a little message. Hello, mods. Are they still there? Get rid of them.
In Greek, AI is number 11. So AI,
really?
IA. Yeah, Janus's oldest name is IA or EA. You know what I mean? So you have all that ties to 11. That's why I did that video, The Realm of 11.
So the A, like as in EA, that's Janus as well. As in,
Janus's oldest name, is tied to Enki and Lil. The father Anu, obviously Anus.
So,
so you see all the links. It's like I say again, not my words. It's I found
Janus,
books, things with it saying it is, and you just put the pieces to the puzzle and just expand how we think on the subjects. More and more people are looking into it, obviously, because they can see there's validity to it. Like I said, I always tell people, as you know, it's just my opinion on what I find. It doesn't necessarily 100% I'm all in on this, because I hold the right to keep changing my mind constantly. You know what I mean? Because I'm learning new things daily, and my opinion will change daily, hourly, secondly.
That's the biggest thing about being autodidactic, right? Is if you can't change your mind, if you can't sort of let other consider other points of views, then you're dead in the water. And it's weird. I think someone mentioned it before. You see all these people, and they get onto, you know, topics like this, you know, and they're like so open-minded, oh my God, and they're yelling at everyone, can't you see this? And then suddenly they get onto, you know, everything's this, you know, and if you don't believe it, and then they're stuck, right? They make one move and then they're suddenly the most closed-minded people that you can meet. It's really weird how it works.
Exactly. I mean, I'm just, like I said, I don't like using the normal word or ordinary or anything, but I'm just a person who's, I love looking at new things. And
that's a monster.
I'm seeing how to connect things. We all see it differently. You will see a same topic and you'll see it differently. And I know you don't really want to go into the geometry side and different things, because we all have things where we don't want to touch or look into it, so we look into other things. There's no harm in that. Do you know what I mean? As long as you know, people can see, you know, where things are coming from. I'm just be honest. I'll say this is just. What's that, Campbell?
Have you looked into gematria at all?
I am a beginner.
I still don't get it. You're a beginner.
And I'm being told
because
I'm being told to do that wrong, like everything else I do, because I'm not allowed to do it this way, the way I do it, because there is a rule book that we have to follow.
Did you
and
get
I'm
the spell wrong?
No rule book.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's just a spell book. There's no rule book, just a spell book, right?
Yeah.
And who wants to use that?
Yeah. How
but,
you
yeah,
pronounce
no,
it?
because I've got this feeling there's something there, but I don't understand what they talk. I watch these videos and they're like, oh, and this 33, and it's this, and it's this, and it's this, and I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? But anyway,
and people go into it deep.
Lots I don't know.
It is a lot to comprehend. Like I said, I'm on the beginning of the journey. Like I said, we can only look at so many things. But the way I've looked on it is when I'm looking to an intriguing situation, like the realm of 11, L, meaning obviously God, and 11. But if you put the words together, it's 11.
Yes.
And what I was finding out, Janus
in
gematria adds to 11. Bill Gates, 11. All the significant people that's tied to this God, the gematria adds to 11.
Yeah, bias who were king. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that
Samson.
is why.
So he must have been a good guy, right? Because he pushed the pillars over. Yeah. Very long hair.
Think about it. The pillars, and that is the gateway, the doorway. You know, so he was, you know, gatekeeping for a minute and decided to, you know, break the pillars, break the doorway.
So was he the old god? Was he the old gatekeeper that they changed the spelling on us, right? Yeah, who knows?
You know what I mean? We just don't know. You can't, for instance, you cannot say to me, or I say to you, right, this is the oldest God. And you're like, how do you know? This book says it or the internet says it. Well, you can't say that because we don't know. We don't even know what month, year, day, whatever we're in. And we don't know how we look at time in the past compared to now. So, you know, it is all over the place.
We don't know who wrote these books. You know, even if we think we know, even if it's a word like a name like Charles Dickens, I mean, we can read all this stuff about who he was. We don't know if that's real or true.
Yeah. And it all just depends how you look at things.
I was going to ask, yeah, you mentioned 11. Is that tied to Elven?
It could be, yeah, because people talk about elves a lot.
Have you looked at that at all?
And it's intriguing me to think about it because Elvi, if I remember from your video a long time ago, was talking about the veil. And we're talking about 11 being the doorway, but also L11 is that talking about the god of the elves. Anything. There's so many permutations of what we look into. Do you know what I mean? It's just intriguing. Now, why is it all? For instance, if you look at one of the oldest symbols in Freemasonry, it is the two St. Johns, which is the patron saints of Freemasonry, John's, the Janus, and they represent the doorway. And you'll also see a circle in the side with the dot. People talk about that being the pineal, knowledge, gnosticism, the doorway to knowledge, doorway to light. Now, it's also the symbol for the Green Lantern. It's the same symbol. It's identical, apart from the dot.
Yeah.
Now,
okay. Yeah.
And then we talk about in my old video that people talk about this realm. It's all electric. Think about it. I broke down electric, and it means the jurisdiction of L. and we're talking about judges. We're talking about El,
Yeah.
who is El, and we're talking about being a firmament between two pillars,
Exactly.
and he's in charge of this realm. The Gnosticism and other
And then
places
what do
talk
we
about
do?
there is a god in charge, an archon. Who is the god of archons? God of arches.
The demiurge.
You know, demiurge,
God of
which
arches,
another
of
word for
course,
demiurge
arts.
is abrascus, and abrascus is also abracadabra. Abracadabra.
Which is the spell.
Yep.
I had something good to say, and I've forgotten. Somebody just asked a question. Susie Q, was it? Does gematria work in every language? As far as I know, it does, but some languages are better than others. There's a guy who, what's his name? I've forgotten his name. There's a guy who goes on Syncretism Society who does it, and he talks about he used to do it in one language, but now he's learning a different language because it's more accurate or something. So, but there seems to be, it was like we were talking about before, there seems to be some, and we know everything's energy, right? But there seems to be some intelligence in that energy that somehow, even when all this stuff gets changed around and the spelling gets changed, it still seems to hold some meaning, right?
Yeah.
It's this weird
That's
thing.
why I did spell etymology, Campbell, because even though I'm so-called by people making up words, they still seem to be tracing back to the topic, which is intriguing. Do you know what I mean? And
it still
that's
has
what
meaning.
gets me.
Well, this is the thing. If you were doing the breakdown and you were like, oh, well, you know, whatever, election means to go fishing in a deep sea. I mean, it would, you know, it'd be stupid, right? So it's because it all has meaning. It all is relevant. That's why it's interesting. And there's so many different, it's just different perspectives. And that's why, you know, again, going back to what we were talking about, you know, thinking for yourself and letting others do the same is that there's not just one answer, right? There's many paths. There's many, you know, we all have different ways of interpreting the world. So, you know, if someone interprets a word a certain way, someone may see that and not get anything out of it. And someone else is like, that's the answer, yes. And then someone will break down a word a different way and opposite, right? Because we're all different. So everything, you know, everything has validity, I think.
And that's just what I try and promote and show. We're all look at things different. Yes, we share a common thing because it doesn't matter how smart or genius people think we are in the community. You think about it, we're still being indoctrinated. Do you know what I mean? And we still have to know what they are trying to push in a sense of these different types of spells. But it just leads to more answers and more answers. And for instance, I could go out tomorrow, go out the front door, look at something and say, right, that's a cult and blah, 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 because we can find a hidden truth about any topic and make it into anything. And obviously,
right.
You know, so
that's
just humanly possible. And then you have people in the community saying, well, them guys are looking at it that way. I'm sorry, these are gatekeepers because they're promoting that. They're not promoting this. And then the people will be calling them and people will be calling them. And then we're on the merry-go-round. People are attacking each other. And we took the eye off the ball, which is supposedly the cabal, who was supposed to be fighting. And again, we don't need to, you know, cabal, you know, so cabal.
Exactly right.
Like you said, we're fighting each other. For instance, if I don't like someone to chat, why would I waste my energy hunting them down and pour it? That's just what, Campbell, I'll have to say this to people. I've looked into a lot of topics, very open-minded, and I just don't get how people can attack each other. We know words and spells. We know how they affect people. Some people can't hold or chuck away that ill feeling. So we're cursing people on the other end of the world or the end of the Ouija board, and we're making people ill. Now, if you had children, which I know you have, and they're younger, they're coming from school or work, whatever, and they say to you, Dad, what have you done today? Oh, sport. I basically trolled someone, made their life hell. And I great. I'm very proud of myself today. Why did you troll them, Dad? Because he had a different opinion of what I think are my favorite channel. Oh, Dad, you're my hero. Thank you for trolling that person. You know, if they commit suicide at the other end, that's just because they're weak-minded. It's pathetic. And I'll say it's pathetic. The bullies.
And
bullies. We
it's
know
the
that
division.
words have
This is
power.
exactly what they want. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're doing it for them. I'm sorry to
it's
get
exactly what they
irate,
want,
but
right?
it just, how can people who think they're so smart be
No,
so
rant away.
dumb?
yeah, I know, right? And I know it's getting to the points of ridiculousness, especially with what's going out in the wider world, and we're being shown this, right, by all these people that are, gaslighting on steroids, right? They're yelling one thing and calling one side one thing, and then acting that way themselves. And that's closed-minded, and that's because they're NPCs and they're programmed and all this. But then we see that everywhere. We're starting to see that everywhere and I hate the word truther, but in these communities, right, that are searching for different sort of answers. And if you're in a community to find different answers, why would you ever try and shut someone who's trying to put out a point of view down? And apart from that, I mean, even if their point of view is wrong, it doesn't hurt anyone. I think it's much better to, my point of view on it is we're all smart, right? Just trust yourself. If you think someone's talking, it doesn't make sense to you and you think it's crap, and even if you think they're a dickhead, just go watch something different. You actually don't need to put that spell out into the world, because that's what it is. No. It's a spell, and that's a dark spell, which is dark energy, which is helping the people that everyone's yelling that they want to get rid of. Yep. It's maddening.
Well, think about it this way, and if people thought about it this way, surely they wouldn't think about it. When we speak, we have the power of the vocal cords, which is the voice of God. Hence, you see all is it DC on? So it's a cartoon. It's called Genesis, and it's a power of God, and he's a priest. We've all seen it. It's on Amazon, I think it is. Anyway, so you got the power of God in your voice. You are then speaking through the medium. You basically are casting a spell. That spell will create a sigil, unseen to the naked eye, but frequency-wise, it's out in this realm. So that frequency as a sigil will attach to you because you've learned the dictionary. So you then have translated it. You've then recast that spell into your psyche, into your brain. And that spell has created a sigil which then attaches to you. That's why when some people say negative things and really evil, you feel down because the evil frequency, the frequency has created a sigil that's attached itself to your bones. It's etched. It's where, and they talk about sticks and stones and all that malarkey. That's why it affects us. So why would you go out your way to actually, physically hurt someone? Because it is hurting them mentally and physically. Because we don't know what people's scenario is at home. So you casting all these spells just because they've come on and done a video and said, that pen I'm holding up is orange, black. No, it's not. It's red. Well, what if that person's colorblind? Who's telling me
you can leave.
What we're seeing is the wrong way?
My channel.
Yeah. I mean, it's just pathetic. It is what it is. Exactly. I'll say it.
And I mean, what if someone's colorblind? What are you going to do? Have an argument with them? I mean, God, it's
exactly.
It's,
but who in this reality says people who are colorblind not seeing it how it is, or is it what we see?
Exactly.
What number?
Are they the ones that miss the programming?
Yeah.
I think about that a lot. All these and like things like autism and even people that are designated, crazy and insane. Are they actually seeing a bit more reality than us? But because they just didn't get programmed as much, and they're deemed that because that they're the and what do we call people not what's the other word? Not disabled. Now I've forgotten it. I had a good point. But basically, it's people who don't fit in the machine, right? They're not fitting in the system that's being created for them. So they're the outcasts. And that's how it works. It's I've got to think of
think about it this way as well: is we are vessels. So we are vessels, right? Yeah, we are vessels. So if I've got a cup here and I've got a cup of hatred and evil and curses, I'm drinking away. I'm drinking evil and curses all the day. Eventually, it's going to seep over. It's going to fill me up, and I will become what I drink. You are what you eat. So if we constantly find each other, listen, it's fine to disagree because people get passionate about things that they love and enjoy doing, but you still have to respect that he's got a different opinion and he's seeing this reality a little bit different. And, you know, there we go, we're still friends, but we're filling people up with hatred. And then when you drink too much of it, you will become hatred. And it's not a nice thing. I don't want people go around, oh, love is peace and all. It's not that. It's about just having baseline respect for a different person. For instance, if you say something nasty to someone and they've had a day full of people saying it and you top them over the edge. I mean, I couldn't live with myself. So that's why I keep my opinions, because that's all this is, an opinion. People say, you know, what do you think of this? I'll say, well, that's it, but I can see why they come from that. You don't have to be evil. And people in the community say, right, I'm speaking the truth. So if the truth hurts, that's bollocks. If the truth hurts, it's your fault. It's not. Truth shouldn't hurt. Truth should shock and surprise you and go, wow, because it's something new. Shouldn't hurt. It's how you deliver it. If I walk up to you and punch you in the face, that's going to hurt. Or would you rather, you know, so people can't use the truth as a weapon. And that's what's happened. It's been weaponized.
Yeah, it definitely has been weaponized. And I mean, we know that with language, I think it's 70% or higher of what we say, it's inflection. It's not actually the words we say, it's how we say them that gets the meaning across, right?
Yeah.
The intent that's behind it. And it's like you say, I mean, you know, before you do this, you know, if you feel annoyed, before you sort of hit that send button, maybe just have a think, you know, what if you are the 20th person and you're the you know, the person that tips on over the edge into something bad? It's like, you know, the story goes that Abraham Lincoln, when he'd get annoyed, he'd sit down and write a big letter and, you know, oh, you suck, and then he'd screw it up and throw it in the bin. And that's a better way, you know, if you've got stuff you want to get out, great, get it out, but it doesn't mean you have to then go deliver it to people. Right, that's your spelling. Like,
I do the same.
Bad. Why not get rid of it?
I write it down, but I don't hit send. Then I've got rid of me anger on that, and you know, there's no right or wrong way. Basically, if you've got channels, whatever, you can do basically what you want because it's your channel. I'm not here to promote, but you know what I mean. It's like, why would you go out your way? Do you know what I mean? Would you honestly go home to your kids and your wife or your loved one and say, I'm proud of myself today. I put someone over the edge. I was trolling them. Go. You wouldn't. 9 out of 10 people.
What if it was the other way around? You know, what if one of your kids came home and it's like, oh, what did you do at school today? Oh, there was a funny kid there. He was a new kid. So we all made fun of him all afternoon. He went home crying. Oh, yeah, great, awesome. Yeah, nice. I mean, this is what we're talking about. And this is the stuff we teach our kids not to do. And then adults are doing it. And, of course, we're going on, and we're not saying everyone in the chat is like this, but it is starting to creep in everywhere, and it's definitely starting to creep into our community. So we need to, you know, band together and ignore it, right? If people want to do that, let them do that. And what will happen is people will just stop going to their channel. And it'll sort itself out. You know, we don't need the policeman in there. You don't need to be in there as Janus, the gatekeeper.
Yeah. People just don't, you know, want to learn new shit. I just can't get enough of it. But we all have unique learning abilities too. How we learn is uniquely to us as well. Some people, it's got to be physical. Some people can read. Some people can see videos. You know, so we've all got a different unique, and then that defines how we learn this realm. Do you know what I mean? And for instance, we talk about and we go, his story is that. It's perspective, but look at the word. His. Tor. Tor is German for door. His door. And it has a Y on the end. Another name for Janus is Janus. So basically he's saying his story.
Yeah.
It's Janus's door. So, and he's tied to knowledge too. Do you know what I mean? So you're talking about gateways. It's not just like physical gateways, but how we learn, our synapses, and how we open doors and different things. We talked about how God is, I am the door. It's like, well, why, you know, so there's all these things that we have to look at. And then there's always
interesting how you Sorry, you go.
No, go on. It's just that's a little slight delay. People wonder what's going on. He's in Australia land and I'm in the UK.
We've got about 5 seconds. Indeed. It was interesting how you said before, instead of talking, you said we use this medium. Yeah. And isn't that interesting? I mean, how many people do we have who say they speak through what? Mediums.
Yep. Medium.
What is that medium? Because if it's a medium that's not them, and it's not the voice of God, then what is it, right? And the other thing to do with that, if this is the voice of God, right, we've got the top end where the nice noise comes out, then Janus is Janus. So that's the stuff you don't want to listen to. It sounds funny and smells bad.
And not the best to look at, but yeah, that's just the intriguing thing and how we look at things, because people think, how can he be, the God of everything? It's like the world is a stage, and he's basically the director and changing everything in his favor because he's having a tantrum, or the cabal's having a tantrum. They want to basically foresee, make him the prime suspect. So we're talking about a realm where we're talking about languages become key. Language is key. It's all, you can say lovely things, but we can also say things with a double-edged sword. Words is a sword. We talk about the Tower of Babel. Another name, or a couple names that I've not connected to what I found, is the name Nimrod. Nimrod is also another name for Janus, so he's Cush, his dad. Why is everyone called Nimrod? Why is everyone called Janus? Who's saying this? And how can Paul say that's a god of he's Janus and he's Janus and he's Janus? I'm not saying it. I found a 500-year-old book. I've sort of this, and it says that. Does not mean it's right. Just means someone at that time has wrote this.
But it's how we look at it, isn't it? I think most people would look at this information in sort of the reverse way, like how did they turn everything into Janus? But I think it would be the other way, right? They would say, okay, we all worship Janus, and then they would just dedicate everything to Janus. All the other old gods, everything becomes Janus, right? Janus is the ocean and the wind, and because they just So I mean, it makes sense to me, but I think when you first hear it, it's like, how does that work? How can everyone be Janus or Janus?
It's just mind blowing, because you then talk about you're just talking about Janus as a god. Think about it. You know what I mean? In Jehovah comes from Janus, Ions, Johans. You got all these names, and I've showed you them. But then you've got the female versions of Janus. You've got cardiac. You've got cardia, who's the cardinal directions, northeast, southwest. That's where it comes from. Cardia. She's known as the hinge. So she's pivotal to a doorway, because it's hinge. It's how the door opens. Then you think about it. Knowledge. Does that make the door open both ways? Who knows? Does it open more doors? You've got Cardi, you've got Cambell, you've got Hecate. All these are liminal gods who are associated to Janus. So that's how you look at things. What's that? I didn't hear that.
So do we have cities? Cardiff. I just said Cardiff. Do we have cities that are named after Janus?
I mean, you could probably
do, right?
Yeah, you could probably have it if you look at it. I mean, I know the famous walk. Well, it's not a town, but you've got Genoa. That is named after Janus.
Oh, Genoa.
Hence Geneva. Yeah. Hence genius. All comes from, the old word for January was Genarius. So Geneva, Genoa. That's where originally found him, and it talks about in the cathedral there. They have an inscription. This was named after Janus, who was the progeny of such, and who was a giant. And that is when I even looked at Tartaria different, and a lot of people. Johannesburg is one of them. I've just saw in the Brian saying, think about it. We have Antarctica that is named after a giant ant. But look at it this way: we have a god. Yeah. Has multiple personalities, multiple faces, genocide, everything. So it's just an intriguing topic. And that's why I look into it, because I can see how far reach it goes. And when I did that, the Janus, the remnants of Tartaria, caused an outcry. You won't believe the abuse they get showing you different opinion, because people are talking about in Tatar, why is there Iron J on maps? Well, Janus, his name is Ionos. His other name is Janus. Oh, well, Janus is only brought in the 13th century. Yeah, the Great Vowel Shift by a guy called Jan is Janus. So the guy who brought it in, his name's Janus. So we're showing you how things fit to him. The guy who invented the letter J was named after Janus.
Because the whole J is I thought of that, the whole J thing as well.
Yeah.
Is it wasn't a
and you can say
vowel,
J is J or J is Y.
What is it? Consonant. And just in case anyone doesn't know, Janus is January, and it's the first month because it's looking forward and back, right? Forward to the new
they
year,
moved
back
it
to the
in
old
the
year.
Great
This
Vowel
is all
Shift period.
Janus. Which makes more sense.
Yeah.
Here's one you like. What do you think of that one, Paul?
Yeah, they took 11 days out of September that month as well. Straight away in 1752, it caused a chaos in the UK, protest riots, because they just had 11 days go missing in September. Why 11? 11 is Janus's number because it represents a doorway. Just look at the J there underneath that sign that you're showing. It looks like two 11s.
Look at this. Janus motorcycles.
You know, so you can just see
that?
how it's everywhere without you knowing. And I can show you evidence. People think, oh, well, their god is Saturn. I can show you evidence from 400-year books. It says Saturn is Janus. I can show you books that say Kronos is Janus.
Yeah, right.
Does not mean it's right. It just means the perspective.
Janus motorcycles.
There's so much. It's crazy that we're finding and looking into, and people are sending me more and more each day, showing you this, showing you different things.
What's halcyon?
You know, Janus is just the two heads. He originally had 4. Some believe he had 5, but the earliest it goes back, he had 4 heads. Now the earliest rendition in Rome with Janus with 4 heads is on the oldest bridge in Rome, and he's got 4 heads. You know what I mean? So, and people talk about the double-headed eagle in Tartaria.
That sounds like the right. Good point. The 4-head sounds like the wheel of Ezekiel.
Yeah. And if you're looking into that,
they had the 4 faces.
Like God did. God had 4 faces. He had human, he had eagle, he had lion, and he had man. You know, so it's just showing you. And I've got images of. They're even finding Janus in South America. I have a friend who's an archaeologist who dug up and found a double-headed god in South America, because he gets everywhere. He's in Africa. He's in every continent in this realm. And you could say, well, every god with 2 heads, not Janus. But who said he's not? You know, if people were so advanced, you know, why not? People talk about the pineal a lot. The pineal occult name is Janus. Wow. So, and then people talk about the zodiac in Rome. There was a statue of Janus standing on the zodiac because he's in charge of the calendar. Oh, and then these are the things. If they keep tossing up and they keep making you go, wow. So they brought him into this. Oh no, Paul, the Jesuits rule everything. Okay, then I'll show you this seal. A Jesuit seal with Janus on it, with IHS on. Would that change your mind? Oh, you know what I mean? It's why is all this happening? And this is because of the Great Vowel.
That's Janus as well, is it? The ISHO that we see everywhere. That's ISHO.
I believe so. The IHS, yeah. People
the one that you
go,
see on all the Jez and the Ewits sort of symbols.
I can't get up now because, like I said, I'm not on social media anymore. But IHS, people talk about Isis, Saturn, and so on, which could be right. I'm not here to, span a thought, but I just think a little bit different, and I change it to Janus, Ionos, Hagate, and someone else. And these gods. Now, listen to this, gods. Now, I I could have had it. It's in the video. I do show you, but Janus, Rome, because people talk IHSs, London, the Vatican, and Washington DC. You know, the three phones. So think it this way: Janus is the religion. Janus was the first pope and king of Latium, Rome. It says so. He says that he was.
Wow.
Think about another name Janus goes by is Peter. It means father. Change one word. Peter. You know, so you can see all this. And then Hagate was a demon who liked to in charge of gold. So that would be London, the finance. And then the last one that I did, it was in the video, it was a long time ago, talks about how he's in charge of 50 legions and he likes to build war weapons. That sounds like America. How many states does it have? 50. You know, so it just makes you think. You just have to look at things completely different to how we look. And there's no harm in having a different perspective. For instance, people, if I said I am, they automatically think of God or Jesus. But people don't realize there's also a demon called AIM, AIM, which is I am, anagrammed. So did they make this demon be an anagram of that, or is that just a counterpart? Who knows? But these things are here for us just to learn, you know, soak up, and you know, take it on board as just that information.
Food for thought, as they say.
Yeah.
We used to have a big, a very, like one of the biggest toothpaste brands was AIM, you know, which means what you put in your mouth every day, right? It's like, when you sort of start to look more at it, it's like, and it's like we were saying, everything seems to have meaning when you look at it, and whether that's, you know, our RAS, our reticular activating system, you know, sort of finding the meaning out there, you know, sort of, and pointing it out to us, or us, you know, creating it because we're creators. I mean, does it even matter? It's all learning, right? And learning who we are and where we are and what this experience is. So, yeah, I think it's all. I mean, learning.
They've just done a good job
right?
of. They've done a good job, like you said, Cambell, of confusing us, and we don't know what year, month we are because the calendar's been changed that much. Obviously, January and February were brought in. Originally, it was 10 months. That was brought in, so we have, but people don't realize that in one spell, January was the last month, February was the next to last. It's a ritual for, you know, for the god Feberas. So you have that getting ready for January, and then they decided to change it and make it first and second. But Romans used to have 8-day weeks, so we had 8-day weeks.
Yeah.
So we've had all these people where they've had 8-day weeks. They've changed the months. They've cut off. They've added each.
Yeah.
You know, so we don't know what we are. And people say, "Well, the Ethiopian or this calendar." How would you know we're not done the same there?
We don't know. I mean, and this is the thing. If they want to, you know, we sort of touched on it before. If we're the creators and all our thoughts create this reality, which, you know, I have a sneaking suspicion is the truth, and these people or these worshippers of Janus, should we say, don't have that creative ability anymore, then they need us to create the world that they want to inhabit, right? Yeah. And that's all that's happening here is they're changing the way we perceive things. We're running around yelling at each other because that's clearly what they want, right? They want this world of war and violence and, you know, sexualized children and debauchery, and it's exactly the same as Sodom and Gomorrah, right? And look what happened there. So I don't know what these people think is going to happen to them. They might end up with a lightning bolt.
Well, hopefully in a few videos' time, I'll have answers for that, because, you know, some of the major topics that people talk about is toroidal field and torus field. You've got a doorway right the bang in the bloody middle. Straight away, toys, doorway. Who's got a doorway? Look at the torus field. It's two circles interchanged like the viscous Pisces. But doesn't it look like two faces?
Yeah.
So you got it straight away. I've even found torus field in the Bible. Now, I'm not going to tell people how or what it's called, but that's coming soon. And this will change how we see this reality. Well, in my opinion, it's a wower.
What's the Jewish Bible called?
That's a Torah. The Torah.
The Torah.
Yeah, that's like the
Is that
laws,
right?
isn't it?
Torah.
So that
Torah.
contains a doorway straight away. And if you look into what's it called? The Tree of Life, the Seraphot, the hidden number 11 basically is knowledge. And it's, number 11.
Okay. So then that's what
people always think there's only 10 on the tree, but there's 11. Yeah. I'll ask you a question. Hopefully you've not saw the video, so you might not see. How many commandments?
What? You're asking me or what?
How many commandments?
How many commandments? I'm going to say 11, but in the book it says 10. Am I smart?
It's 11. And I was blown away by that. Yeah, it's 11. They say it's 10, but one was merged into another. So technically, there was 11, but now there is 10 because they merged. They merged two on the list. 2 looks like number 11. Victory, or is it 11 that they're all doing? But yeah, 2. They merged 2 together to create another one. So 11 became 10. That's supposed to be the laws of God. 11. Who's the God of 11? Oh, that's sacrilege, Paul. You're going to burn. So you can see my point is if all the evidence is showing me that there was 11, and someone will say, well, actually, no, this book says it was 13 and 14. I'm just showing you a different perspective on what someone else has had. I can't say anything with my judges. You know what I mean? We all can find something that will fit our narrative. And that's what the beauty and the downfall of knowledge is. Because it's a doorway.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. It's be careful with what you got out there. So does Baal also translate to Janus?
Baal.
Yes. So when they bring down the 10 commandments, right? And then they find, what does he find when he gets at the bottom? Everyone's dancing around worshipping a golden bull, a golden Baal. And I mean, so that's all. It's a lot of points of change in this, isn't there? Like this.
Yeah.
I was going to say there's all points of change. You've got the vowel shift, and then I mean that's the same thing, right? Yeah. Hiding and then changing the god that they're worshipping. It's all there.
And then we talk about how
someone's put.
Someone's what?
I was just thinking jaundice. Is that Janus?
It just reminds me, but think about it. All these got, and like I said, it's not me making these up. It's not people on, well, it could be all this. It's just intriguing that when you find all these old books saying it. Another one that they love to use, Baphomet. Baphomet. People automatically think of the horn god. Yes. Well, horn god is Cernunnos. Cern is another name for Janus. But the Baphomet that people see is a 19th century Elias Levi's rendition. It's not actually looking like that. That's just his interpretation of what Baphomet was. And that's what's been used. And that's why it's got breasts and all this palaver. It was just his opinion on what Baphomet. The Templars worship Baphomet. Well, why did the Templars Baphomet have 3 heads? 3 heads? Oh, that could not be Janus, could it? And you can see it. Templars, what was the flag? White with red stripes across. Right? Let me just do something. 11. As simple as that. 11. Worship the cross.
And the temple.
Yeah.
The temple always has the pillars out the front, right?
Yeah, temple. We have temples in our head, in between the middle. We have someone kneeling, praying. Just right where Janus is, the occult name for the pineal.
Wow. Thank you very much, Lady Lux.
Yeah.
I have.
There you go. For 20 bucks,
then,
he will show you his left
what was that word? All right. Everyone has to tune out when I do a little show.
Well, guys, get going in. He'll start taking his clothes off.
That's right. This is OnlyFans. No.
But
I had something very intelligent to say.
I mean,
What was I
what's in the
gonna say?
Vatican
Something.
courtyard, Campbell? What's famous images in the Vatican courtyard? It's a huge thing.
A big acorn.
Big pine cone.
Acorn.
Right?
Yeah.
Followed by two peacocks either side. Two sides of the brain.
Yeah, it is.
With a pineal right in the middle. And in Rome, they have a pinecone district. Right? It's called Pigna, I think, if I remember. Might be just slightly off, but it's number 9. In Roman numerals, it's X1, which it looks like an 11. But anyway, the pine cone, the Pantheon, which is known as the oculus, which resembles knowledge, and the circumpunct, used to look like a pine cone. It used to have copper and everything to represent the pine cone, the pineal, and that was a temple to Janus and the god of gods.
Thank you, 4Jacks, 444.
Have you saw that coming? That's so funny now. Instead of only fans, you've got only cams. That is class.
No, it's all right. I think you're onto something.
Wow.
I'm going to start a new business. Only cams.
Coming soon. Only
for
cams.
people that are called Cameron or Campbell or is there a Cam girl's name? I don't know. It's just going to be dudes. Camerons and Campbells.
Yeah, and he's changing his name, ladies. If you pay, it will be Autodidactic. It'll be Autodidactic. Get the donations flowing, ladies. For men.
Auto with subtracted. No, I'm not. Twin Pine. Remember Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Do you remember it started off as Twin Pine, and then at the end it was Lone Pine?
Yeah. I'll be talking a little bit on I'm not saying you nearly that slip of my video that's coming soon, but yeah, it's so that just makes you want to think. For instance, obviously people are into Tartaria, they follow you for Tartaria, and obviously one of the main things is the double-headed eagle for Tartaria. That was brought in primarily to really where they started implementing it by the Holy Roman Empire. And that was brought in the Great Vowel 12 shift period. But the earliest rendition of the double-headed eagle is found in Samaria and also Hittite country. And you'll find it's a particular place. Okay. You always find it on the doorway. Isn't it funny that the double-headed eagle found on the doorway? But so that's where it basically comes from. Because it's,
That's very interesting. That right, the double-headed eagle, and I haven't looked a lot into that, but yeah, I mean, that looks like a Janusy thing too. And that, I mean, we know all symbols have been taken and moved around as well, but God, it's very blatant, isn't it? Have you come across? I asked you before about elves. Have you come across elves as far as in your research tied with Janus? I did a talk with someone a few weeks ago with Ellen, and she was looking at dark elves and the sort of tree of Yggdrasil and all that kind of mythology. And it's fairly similar, but like these dark elves, like have you come across them?
To be honest, I'm a big fan of Nordic and Viking culture. I've got loads of books on them. I hope to read. And also looking at the runic alphabet, which Janus does appear in it, funny enough. But what is funny is, think about it this way. Is it elves or is it the tribe of 11s? Because we don't know. Think about it.
Well, this is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
The
11
whole world
could be a tribe.
Exactly. That's what was getting me onto it.
Yeah.
12 and 11. Yeah.
And that's just why I did started that series on it, because I was finding the 11s everywhere, significant things. For instance, like obviously Freemasonry, the pillars and all that stuff. But look at the Bible. It starts off with Genesis, and I might be wrong. So, I mean, don't take my word for it. But it starts off with John in Genesis, doesn't it? And Revelation is written by John, if I remember, John the Evangelist, which are the patron saints of Freemasonry. Well, that's two St. John's.
Mm.
John is a derivative of Janus. So the beginning and the end, the Alpha
Yeah,
and the Omega, which Janus goes by.
The Alpha and the Omega.
What is the Bible called? Bell.
And
By. What's by another word for? Two.
Vowel.
You know, so you have to put a lot of things out the Bible. You know what I mean? And again, I'm no expert at the Bible, and I know they took so many books out of it and whatnot, and it's been messed with from basically, you know, the Council of Nicaea, where they changed basically everything, took it out, and we just have, you know, the word of history for what was taken out, what was put in.
66 books left.
Yeah, and in one of them, I actually found it was 65 books, which 6 had 5 is.
Really?
11.
11, of course, it's 11.
So you will find these scenarios out whenever, and this is what I've been finding out a lot is they like to use 11 in the media because it's like a gateway. It's a transition from one state of mind to another. Who's the god of transitions? Yeah, we'll ignore that, Janus. You've got problems. You know, Janus's name goes everywhere. You've got Portas, another name for him, Ports. You know what I mean? So you have all this different names for that god who people get crazy
of. Ports and the portal,
yeah. So
ports and the portals. Have you read the Aurolinda book? I think I ask everyone this question.
I was saying to you, Campbell, I really struggle with reading because when I look at a word, for instance, I can look at a word like hello, and I just don't see it right. And then after looking and looking,
it is on YouTube. Someone's done it. They've read it on YouTube.
Yeah.
But that talks about sort of like the infiltration of a different, you know, group of people with different, you know, beliefs who sort of come in and start, you know, the whisperers, right, who come and start whispering at the kings and that. So, I mean, it all sounds like the same story to me. It all sounds like the same story, right? That does. Like it's Tower of Babel, the 10 Commandments, all the movies are telling us this stuff. It's all in the spells, the vowels, the vowels, and then of course, you know, the elect, right? And we go and bloody elect people, right, into Janus's power, which that's what it means, right? Between the polling booths, right? The polls, the I mean, it's just everywhere. It's so bizarre. So bizarre.
And that's just what
the buffaloes were introduced with Jesuit installation.
We just like looking at things differently. You don't look at things the same as I do, and that'd be boring. Like we said right at the beginning. Why would we want people always ask me to say, why don't you do a video on what they've done and they've done it? Well, you know, if I make it, it'll be different to them. And then, you know, it's like I have a total different philosophy. I like just looking at information of what I find, and I see things differently. So people sometimes can't take it. You know what I mean? So it's intriguing of even the benign things that we look at. I mean, sometimes we can overthink things. Sometimes there's not actually a so-called conspiracy. Look, they even have us doing that when we say things. You know what I mean? So we're all indoctrinated.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, okay. It's 11.
Yeah, and it's mind-blowing, you know. And that's what I love and I hate also in the same thing because, yeah, I don't do like people say, why can't you do a video on that? Because I like being organic and I like being spontaneous. For instance, if I like the idea to come to me, do you know what I mean? And that's why you'll see a lot of some different things on video because I like to get that aha moment. For instance, my next video, I'll tell you what my next one is, but not the one after that, which I'm excited at. I'm doing a quick video on Klaus Schwab. And it's going to be a short video, but different because I found what I found is so I'm not saying it's not out there already because, you know, I'm a hermit. But if you look at his name, Schwab, it actually comes from the Swabia region. And there is a thing called the Swabian League, which was a period in time, what I mean, in the Holy Roman Empire, where there were knights, the so-called peacekeeping force. You know what I mean? So, who massacred a lot
Wow.
of people in the
I was
German
just
revolt.
thinking, oh,
And
yeah,
again,
okay. I knew he had ties. Yeah, wow, okay.
so his actual name comes from that region, and that, you know, like the precursors to
that.
the UN, the peacekeeping force, the blue hats, and all this. So that's what I'm briefly doing it on, and looking into it. I mean, I didn't even know that
Nice.
he was in New York on 9/11. You know, so
Yeah,
it's just
yeah, he
an
was. A lot
intriguing
of people
thing.
were actually.
Yeah.
Can't miss the
Why? Because it was
ritual.
a big
Come
ritual
on.
to Janus, the Twin Towers, the 11.
Yeah,
You know, so
yeah,
these
yeah.
things, that's what I'm doing on, just a slightly bit different, because, you know, I like to change it up. I like to do a video that I'm not totally in on, because it keeps me, you know, keeps me honest as such. And what I find, for instance, why did they pick Davos as his HQ? Well, in Davos, they speak a different language, a
He was
Romanized
into Doctor Who.
language. It's like Doctor Who as well, Davos. You know, and so you got the things of
Definitely.
the connection to Rome. And one of the things he talks about a lot is his admiration for the Club of Rome. You know, another secret society called the Club of Rome, who is founded by someone called Rockefeller. You know, so we're seeing these things, and it's like, really, and so that is just something different I'm looking at next. And then the one after that, I'm very excited, and that's what the problem is. I'm like researching that while I'm supposed to be finishing this video. You know what I mean? So hopefully I'll get on it soon. And obviously you message in a week.
I've got 3 on the go, and then last night I was just looking at something and just quickly went, oh, that's it. I just quickly made a video, and that went out. I still haven't finished the other ones. It's shocking. But this is the thing about research is, and you know, we all get it right, is oh, you should look into this and you should do this, and oh, check out.
Yeah.
And the thing is, things are appealing to different people, you know. It's like you say, you only research things that appeal to you. I mean, why would you spend your time researching something that's not interesting when you just wouldn't do it? And this is, you know, it's like if people find something interesting, you know, my advice, instead of saying to someone, you should do this, you know, you just go and start researching it yourself. I mean, because it's all about information. And if it's interesting to you, yeah, it also means that message is for them, right? That information is for you. It's not for someone else. It's got nothing to do with someone else. It's only got to do with you. So if it sticks out, go and research it yourself.
Yeah.
That's my
Because we have the different perspective. Another, we're talking about the vocal cords and everything before, but there's a big thing that people are looking into. It's called a squatter man. We all know it. You've all seen the symbol. Yes. It's all, you know, it's found everywhere around the realm, and it's supposed to be in a plasmeric type of event. Once if I showed you this, and it's in my video, this is the larynx. It's identical. It's identical. So the voice of God, the vocal cords, is basically the larynx. So, you know, God spoke, whatever God you believe in the sky, and did he do a reset? Was it a frequency? Look, that's the cross section of the larynx.
Well,
again, I'll show you the other one again. That is the.
What does it say at the very start of the Bible? How was the world created?
Yeah, with his voice.
With the word. Yeah, the word.
Yeah, the word of God. Now, funny is, if you've not watched the video, so you can see it's the same. No matter how you look at it, you can see the same symbol. The word of God. Genesis. What number is it? Oh, yeah. John 1:1. Oh, that 11 again. The word of God. Who's God? Are they talking about Janus or our God? Who keeps referring to himself as a door. I am the door of the sheep.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So
there's only one exit and the other ones are all locked.
Yeah, disagree, but yeah, you just said it. The word of God, and then people say, well, stuff taken out. We possibly could, because obviously, I'm not a Bible expert, but from what we've seen, John 1:1. And it's strange that, but the name John derives from Janus. and it's mentioned in Genesis 1:1, which Genesis is derived from Janus as well. That's just a coincidence, that, Paul.
Yeah.
And that's what I get. Do you know what I mean? It's how many do we see? Against, for instance,
God,
a big ritual they like to do was kneeling. That comes from Janua to kneel. So they're talking about even
what
where
do you
it comes
kneel?
from.
What happens when you kneel? When you kneel and you put your hands together, do you become prey?
Yeah.
Or do you pray? What's going on there, right?
That is the question, isn't it? And it's like I said, the glass half full or half empty. Everything is always that. It's the balance. Again, the video coming soon, you will see something on that as well. I'll keep putting little snippets in. But what I found, Campbell, it's just it's a wower. It's basically going to tell you about how we see everything uniquely, because I've touched about it in other videos, but I found the reason why it could be uniquely and what's the cause of it. Now, I'll give you a little snippet because everyone's been good. Everyone talks about, like, time and different things as being unique to us. Time doesn't exist. Time is a man-made construct. We get old. Well, things age at different rates. What makes us all unique is us. So think about it. I'm in this video going to be talking about the effects of energy, which is called time. It's all around us. It's not us. We're the uniquely different. We're living in this realm with dogs. They age rapidly, and we age at a rate which might have been set. But for instance, when we talk about, if you eat that constantly, you're going to lose so many years of your life. So you're hitting the plus and the minus in your life, which is electric, constantly. So if you eat good and look after yourself, you'll get more pluses. But like in time, with the span of life, the film, you have so long on your clock and you have to keep adding and taking away from it.
Yeah.
But think about it. It's all around us. It has to be. What makes us unique is obviously the pineal size. For instance, owls have a very small or no pineal. So could the pineal be something in regard to time? And do other animals have bigger pineals, or so these are things I'm looking into. But think about it. Time, which is emit, right?
So is the pineal
backwards.
Clock. Yeah.
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 And do you know what the Hebrew word for time is? The Hebrew word for time is emit. It means truth. Truth?
Emit. To give off. Truth. Light. Time is truth. Time.
So these things I'm looking into, and what I found.
Right?
Yeah. It's exciting me, and like I said, if I didn't think differently, we'd never get to these places that I found. And for instance, what I've found, you know what I mean? So it is.
Well, that's exactly right. If you had to listen to people and like, oh, you're silly, what are you doing? You're like, oh, and if you were like, oh my God, I am, what am I doing? Then we wouldn't be having this discussion, right? With 390 people watching us and everyone enjoying it. So
I'm seeing what people are saying. Owls can see everything. Owls. Put a V on owls. What's it? What is it? It's a vowel.
Vowels.
A V?
It's a vowel.
Is 11.
The Janus.
But it also means 5 in Roman numerals. He originally had 5 heads and then went to 4. It's like a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, and so on. But owls also come from Oculus.
Which one is it?
Yeah. So.
Really?
Yep.
And then the countdown is the what is it? The second coming of.
It could be. But think about it.
Supposed to be happening, right?
If I say this, you will go, wow. Janus also has another name. Yes, another one. It's called Concevius. Yep. When you conceive your child.
Oh, really?
So, Janus.
I was going to ask you about that. The sacred, the sacrum.
Yep.
Sacrum and sacred.
You look at.
This is very close to.
I've watched what I have to say.
Right?
You look at the penis, the phallic region. It looks like 2 heads at the end, and that's how Janus is portrayed. And that's why you have phallic worship. That's why you have obelisks. because it's in reference to Cassius.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And energy, because obviously, you know, so you have so many different ways of looking at something. And you were talking about the sacred area. Why call it sacred if it's not sacred? You know what I mean? So
sacred creation.
Yeah.
And then, but of course, as soon as you give birth, like you do to a boat in the water, birth, then they register you, right? Register
and
you and all this kind of stuff, which is so.
Yeah, and they like to invert.
So I was just going to say, so it doesn't mean that. Yeah, it doesn't mean that creation's bad and evil. That's not what we're saying. But they've renamed it all to make the spell against us and to make it for the honor of their two-faced God, right? And two-faced, right?
Yeah.
We all
and
know
they call
this
Mother, don't they? Mother Earth, don't we? We call it Mother Earth. Everyone can agree. Mother Earth. And in Greek, mother is matter, right? Just like Janus is pater, pater, Peter. So mater is Greek for mother. Now, you invert the W. Invert the W.
Peter and pater?
Yeah.
M.
Invert the W, you get water. It's so in your face.
Invert the what? Invert the W.
Yeah.
In all matter into water.
Yeah. So you got matter, which is mother. Also, matter. And if you invert the W,
and that's what the earth is, right? Matter.
Yeah, water.
And that's
matter.
Water.
Yeah. So if you do just simple like that,
and
so you have that.
And before you were saying Peter and sorry.
Matter, which means mother in Greek.
Yeah.
But also matter. Things are matter. You turn that M around.
Yeah, that matters to me.
You get that.
Water. Something that has flow and currency.
Yeah.
Atta, which is almost ether.
Yeah, and Ionos and Janus, his mother was called Earth. Tellus, I think her name is Tellus. Tellus, I think it is another name for Mother Earth. So you know what I mean? It's intriguing. So matter is mother. His name is Pater, means father. And you've also got an intriguing place.
And when you just said it again, Peter Pater, what do we say that the kids, when you have a kid, you hear what? The pitter-patter of little feet.
Yeah. Also means the rock. And then you have Petra, which is Peter, really. Peter. So, there's all these things that we have to look at that's just so in your face, but it's only in your face if you don't see it.
It does.
You know what I mean? And
it's just sounding a lot that is the creation, right? The material world, which is matter, the physical, Mother Gaia, Earth, whatever you call it, is the illusion that's been created. The kind of, I sort of call it the overlay that's been put there. The spell, whatever you want to call it, the program, is the matter. And of course, what do they tell us? That things matter. Things that matter are things that you need to hold on to, right? And keep there. Put a lot of energy into them. So I mean, very interesting how they just invert and
And when things matter, what do? We label them. We label it. That's a phone or a mobile or a cell phone. We're giving it a la, which is a frequency, a song, and a bell. Ba'al. So we're labeling things and keeping them in our realm. So that's why we have to name things, because we're keeping it in flux with us in this reality. And we have to keep it close because
Yeah. The frequency of the spell holds us in this, in the matrix, if you want to. Wow.
And that's why we have, for instance, all these things all tie into this reality. No matter where you look at it, people, like I said, I used to get a hell of abuse on Janus because people just Google it and say it has no significance, and then they leave it at that. But people don't know that it goes by so many different names. And that's what this reality is. For instance, the old big one, you'd have saw it, Cambell. NASA. Oh, in Hebrew it means to deceive. And then you'll get people who say, no, it doesn't because it's not spelt right. But say what, guys? Put NASA in Latin. It means a trap. It means a snare. Why is that never said? That's something else I found many years ago, because we always seem to highlight certain things which they want us to focus in on. So, you know what I mean? All things are worthy of investigation, no matter how big or small.
And even a second time, you know, like you were saying, you know, we can be given something and everyone's like, yes, that makes sense, I'm going with that. But that doesn't mean it's the ultimate answer, you know, it just might, and it could be the right answer at that time as well, but not the right answer later. So
another quiz question for you, Campbell. Are you ready? He's on the spot. Are you ready, ladies and gents? What is the last? There's a phrase, and it's actually called something. There's the last moment you have something to be able, you know, to make your mind up. So you've got to make your decision. They call it something, and it's at the last possible moment before it's too late and it's gone. Do you know what it is?
Immediately, it's you've got to make a decision. I'll
put him on the spot. Right, do you want me to tell you?
Help me out, chat. Help me out.
Go on, chats, if you know. Yeah, tell me. Watch the videos, on certain videos, you'll know. There's the last moment you have in time that you have to make the decision, or it's too late.
Like it's not. It's
You'll know it as soon as I tell you.
Oh, what? Deadline? Not deadline.
Well, you ready?
No.
Someone said it already in chat. Yeah. It's called the 11th hour.
Oh, the 11th hour. Yes, of course. I was going to ask you that before.
What number is it?
The 11th hour.
That's just a coincidence. Again, 11.
And what
so we're seeing
number
this
do
11
people see everywhere?
We'll all see it.
Exactly. You hear it all the time. I'm seeing 11s. Yeah. What does that mean? I'm seeing 11s.
And people say 11, 11.
And yeah, the 11th hour.
There we go.
11, 11. Pandemic. Oh gosh. Okay.
So
there you go.
You can find them.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And I can keep going. Do you know what I mean?
So that's all spell casting.
Yep. Now even gematria adds to 11. So, do you know what I mean? These things, when we look at it and we go, this world is an occult world. Now, you could say I'm doing it wrong, and I could quite possibly be. But who's the law to say it? We was talking about pupil before.
The eye.
11. What's another name for pupil? Oh, you've got the apple of my eye, which is another word for malum, which means bad. So you're having all these things.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, you think so, Garden of Eden, yeah.
What were we talking about before? Judging.
Judge.
And if you want to go,
there you go, guys,
really deep, what are your eyes? They're the windows to your soul.
Eyes are the windows to the soul.
Wow. You know, also, what Paul, we was talking about scrying. Etymology, the word scrying means scry.
Scry.
Now you could say 11 adds to anything, but it doesn't. Water. Now we're talking about eyes and scrying. How does the light get into the eye? It gets in by the cornea, which sounds like coroner. 11.
Coroner, yeah, right.
Then we're on about light. So we're in a realm of 11s. Why? And that is what I want to. Now, for instance, I'm talking about Ianos, which is Janus, realm of 11. Possibly that couldn't get to 11, surely. So
I mean,
we can talk about things.
gematria,
all we
yeah,
want.
makes it look like there's a code, right?
Yeah.
That's very,
And that's what
very
the intriguing
computer
thing is.
codey, matrixy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess the question is that the real matrix, or is that like an overlay that we're just creating
And I
because
say
of all
to
these
people,
spells?
don't take my word for it. Like you just said, you've always got a question, even us. Well, I just show you something that, you know, basically is just an opinion. You know what I mean? And it's just so intriguing. Now we've talked about Janus is the occult name for the pineal gland. So you can see it's 11.
So it seems
Now,
to
could
have a lot
it
to
be
do with
11?
senses. Have you looked into sense and senses? Because that's what
No, I
it,
don't
it's
think
all
I
to do
have on
with
that.
the eyes and the voice, isn't it? Which is,
So it's
if
just
you were going to, if what we're saying is true, if you were going to change reality, that's what you would change, the senses, right?
Yeah.
How you sense where you are. Because as we know, it makes no sense at the moment.
And we need common sense.
Common sense.
I mean, which
exactly.
we do lack a lot of in the community.
Dollars not
So
sense,
these are the things
right?
I look at. Doesn't, like I said, to people
there.
who don't know me in the chat, this is just me coming up with things. Why is this 11? People always say in the spiritual terms, I'm seeing 11 all the time. I see 11 all the time. It's a doorway. You know, it's in regard to this realm. It means you're on the right path type of track. But it's just showing you the power of the 11 that we've always seen. And it's just a different interpretation. You've talked about elves. Could elves be 11? Dark elves, dark 11s. You know, angles is angels. Angles. That's what I talk about in the Genius ritual. Are demons and angels different angles of light? And obviously, light in regard to knowledge hits our eyes, and we see the realm different for what it is. You know, so these are things that just I get excited, and I talk fast when I get excited. So I do apologize for anyone who's like, he's at 100 miles an hour because I get excited, and I don't talk to a lot of people. So it all comes out all at once.
No, it doesn't get out much, guys.
I don't get out much.
But like we said before, the link for his channel is below. I always get confused with your old one, but it's What the Flock TV now. He did used to be the Black Sheep researcher. But What the Flock TV link is below. So, go across, check out his work, give him a like, subscribe, share it around, because there's lots of really good information there. And, if you're into this kind of information that we've been talking about, you'll find tons of it over on his channel. So definitely do go and check it out. And we're almost at the 2-hour mark. So, yeah, that was really good. I think everyone in the chat has really enjoyed that. We're still at 385 people. Of course, guys, don't forget to give this video up if you haven't already. Just go down, hit that thumb, see if you can. If you can't, just keep trying until it changes color, and then you'll get a free warm fuzzy feeling. I think that's how it works. Pretty sure.
And remember to go to only cams. He'll be setting that up soon for you, ladies.
Yes, yeah. You'll find the link for only cams below. That'll be starting after the show. The adults only premiere.
It's been a pleasure to have on. You know what I mean?
We're never going to hit the end of this, Paul.
Yeah, I have. I'm very. People think I'm serious. I'm not. I'm a really big joker. You know what I mean? And we should always, for instance, a couple of videos ago, I did a video of me crying because I lost a close friend. And we always do it. We always forget how valuable our time and presence are in the moment. There's never tomorrow, because tomorrow is today. You know what I mean? So we have to live in the now and enjoy it. And that's what this realm, these people are trying to do to us. They're trying to make us fight with each other. And I'd rather laugh than cry. You know what I mean? There's happy tears, but I want to be happy. And, we have to, doesn't matter how you look at it, we have an audience. Cambell has an audience. You guys in the chat have an audience. And just like any other so-called celebrities, and we're not celebrities, but we're in your view. So you're watching us and you're taking on board some of our things, and you might start to think like us. So we have to be in a position to say, come on, guys, enough's enough. Let's, if you don't want to be a friend, just don't ignore these people. And I want to be happy. Like I said, I was shocked because I lost a very close friend. You never get to say the jokes that you send to the next day and put focus on your health. And that's why my channel has changed a little bit recently, because I want to spend more time in the now and the family I have now, because we forget this online family that we have. We get so close to it, yet we forget, and some people don't have a family. So obviously that's why they connect to the online version. But we have to be responsible and our own judges and treat people with respect, even if you don't like them. If you don't like something, you don't eat it, do you? It's a case of people that are saying, I don't like that channel, and they keep eating it, and you'll be sick. So don't be sick, laugh, have a joke, and follow and watch something that makes you feel positive and wanting to research, not to eat and be sick. You know what I mean? You have to be pretty much gone in the head. You know what I mean? And that's just all I have to say on things. You know what I mean? I don't agree with anything a lot of people say, because I'm unique. But I have a respect that I won't follow you to your channels or home and knock on the door and go, you know what I mean? It's not done. It's not done.
No.
Be proud of you, your family, and just be happy. You know what I mean? Have a good life. When's the last time you saw have some good fun? It's hard to find. So, guys, please, if you don't like a channel, don't follow it. Your time is precious. Your energy is precious. What would you rather spend on that extra second on that channel you don't like, or your family, or something you enjoy doing?
Yeah,
that's just my perspective.
Yeah.
And if you want to see
spreading happiness or spreading,
come over to What the Flock TV.
This is the thing. We all have a choice. Just make sure you go to
whatever. And
but
the world's ending tomorrow, but buy my book.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so this is actually the last podcast ever, because the world is ending tomorrow. Nuclear bombs and stuff are going off. So thanks for spending the last day of the realm with us. But this is the thing. We have choice, guys, and with all this stuff going on, we can choose to engage in it. Put our focus on it, which is giving it energy. As we know, that little saying, right? What we focus on grows. Or we can focus on what we want to focus on. Just whatever. Watch something different. Do something different. But we've got the choice, because everything we do makes the world better or worse. There is no. The only constant is change. There's no state that's no change. So everything we do is in some way, big or small, making the world better or worse, and that comes down to our choice and our intention. So what do you want to do? We can make good communities where we can sit around and laugh and be happy, or we can, spread more sorrow and misery, and then spend the rest of our lives complaining that things are so bad, which doesn't make sense. So there's our little spruik for our little sermon for the night, for the end of the world.
And don't forget, ladies,
in Colorado,
only cams. Oh, you're not getting rid of that now. That's going to be attached to you forever.
Oh no, it's going to be everywhere. And if I get on there to you're my only person watching me, I'm going to be upset, Paul.
You're going to have to do that effect, when you finish and you wink and it goes a little glint in your eye. Hello, ladies. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Everyone in the chat, for all your comments. We've just been away, and I don't get out much, so I do get excited, and hopefully I will start to get out more and go on more on different channels. But I only get out there if people know who I am, and you know what I mean. I'm like hidden away. I'm like a hermit's hermit. It's my own. It's just the way I am. I like to, I'm in my own head at times, thinking of stuff. You know what I mean? So I do need a push sometimes, and I'm just thankful for the opportunity to come on today and see your great comments in the chat. And anyone at home it's not, commented, fun. Thank you for watching, and have a good weekend.
Yes, and thank you for being here. It's been a while since we've had a chat, and we'll do it again in a few months, hopefully. And so make sure you go and subscribe to his channel, guys. And of course, Stay awesome and use your choice for good and not evil. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you on the next upload. Bye for now, guys.